No more yellow seatbelts. Yay! It is a bitch to install. This was Phil right here I'm pulling out. It's Benny. We're still on the original set of tires, but second set of brakes. Chris is scared to start it. It's so loud. All right, so what are we doing, Chris?
We are working on getting seatbelts out and getting a seat in.
But we love these yellow seatbelts.
Some people do. Guy that had it before you, I'm sure did.
We got red ones coming. We actually have to mail these to a company we found online. Actually, they completely redo them, reuse the existing, I guess what do you call that? The actual seatbelt guts, and just change the belt. And it was about 100 and some, little bit over 100, I think, per seatbelt, which is cheap as can be. New racing seat next to the OEM comp seats. The new one's a little wider. Actually, surprisingly fit in the comp seats okay width-wise, but the height is the problem. With this, it will allow us to go at least 3 inches or so further down into the tub of the car, which then we got the low profile mount from Competition Motorsports. And they make a low profile, which that'll be getting put in after we pull this out. And hopefully Chris doesn't break all the tabs. Honestly, I don't think we need that piece of trim anyway. I think we just get rid of it. It's weight, right? All right, on to the other side. Is it a little easier without the seat there?
It's easier knowing where everything is. I mean, that felt tight with the adjustable, and I wasn't even at 30 foot-pounds. I don't want to do too much, he said. We'll do 35. That's 30. That's already 35. So those are all tight. We use 2 on every section. They've got this guy right here. It's a Christmas tree that's actually mounted right about here, holding the harness to this rail, which isn't going to be necessary because that harness can never come up once the seat frame comes on. But it was too tall for the seat frame to where we were pinching onto the wiring harness, and of course that over time with a whole bunch of vibrations is going to be a no-go. So right now, when I sit this down with my hand, I can clearly feel that it's on the actual frame. There's a rail here, or bump rail. There's a bump rail there, a bump rail there, and you can see what I'm talking about right up there. You know, this is what I mean by bump rail. It's just got the structure, the bent structure for structural support. So anyways, you've got to get rid of 2 of these. There's one Christmas tree here, which this thing doesn't like to sit on, and it shouldn't. And if you want every millimeter of height, then you'll need to get rid of it. And then there's another one up here on this side. If there's any in here, it don't matter because the seat's going to be clearing it.
This was Phil right here I'm pulling out. It's Benny. A lot of corpses.
So what are we doing here, Jason?
We really wanted to have a Mustang again, so we pulled the front of this one off so that we can put a horse on the front. Just kidding. No, we're actually very happy we have a Corvette. They have a ton of radiators on the front that are very microscopic as far as the fins. They have huge grooves in the OEM front. Any bugs, rocks, big pieces of dirt get pulled up and sucked into this and bend the fins. We have not had any problems overheating, but if you don't clean these and correct this, you will have problems overheating because your airflow is essentially restricted. First thing is we had to remove the whole front, which Chris did. It's our first time we've ever done it, but there's a ton of screws, maybe 50, 60 screws. And then in addition to that, there's clips. And then Chris had to remove, you'll see over there, fender wells, all of the skirting on the front, you know, air dams and stuff on the front. We had to remove the front wheels. So it's quite a bit actually just to remove the front clip. We will be installing, which we'll show a little later, after we clean these and then get all the fins, for the most part, bent back as good as we can. It's kind of a manual process. They do have special tools for doing these, but they're not really made for this specific radiator type. A couple of different small flat blades and tweezers, and just being very careful. Once we're done with that, then we will put these guards on, which then will reduce the size of the holes to what, around 1/4 inch each, versus what they are now is like a 2 inch by 4 inch hole. So that's actually the middle one here that'll end up going. Still some stuff can get through it, but even most bugs, if they hit it, they should hit this first and kind of break apart before they hit the radiator with as much impact to bend them. 3 radiators on the front and then 1 on each side. So we're gonna be doing all of those. Right now we're just doing the front ones. So this is the process. Each radiator is probably gonna take 30 or 40 minutes of going through all the bent holes with a screwdriver and bending back, but it's something worth doing. So what are we doing, Chris?
We got a roll cage in. This is a roll cage designed to fit and be engineered for the C8. These are backing plates. Because the C8 is composite / aluminum / steel, you're not gonna find hard points like you do in regular cars. This one, as you can see, it takes some serious application. All of these are counter chamfered, the whole edge, nice and smooth, nothing to get stuck on, nothing to get cut on, but also nothing that your wires are gonna mess up with. This is the wiring channels for the wires. This is a full cable, I think, for the door release. Yeah, totally form fit. Those are the kick panels. They go at the very bottom, these two. There's only supposed to be two. We got 3 strut towers on the top.
So they sell roll cages. They sell a lot of C8 roll cages. I say a lot. All of them, for the most part, are just in the main compartment of the driving compartment.
And they're really just seat harnesses.
Correct. They're not great. We don't love them. Most of them required the seat to be far up. They were only attached to the ground, nothing else, which is not great in a rollover because it's going to flex. This particular one we got was more expensive. I think we were $3,200 or so shipped, which, you know, on a $130,000 car is really not a lot of money. But that was with it powder coated. We ended up choosing, I think, what they kind of call it, like Ferrari red or whatever, because it matches the seat belts that we got. But that's all powder coated. We are missing the X brace that goes in it, which we'll kind of explain to you what that is. It'll be delivered tomorrow. It's already shipped, but they had a problem with powder coating. They wanted to fix it, so that's good. But essentially this roll cage, the seat's got to come out for us to install it. We got to literally pull out the entire seats there. We got to pull out a decent amount of stuff. But again, it's a proper roll cage, right? So that's the key. Like, there's a lot of people that sell roll cages and you just bolt them in and you can have them in probably in 30 minutes, but that's not a proper roll cage.
So they have a harness bar, which you'll see a lot of, and that's just to give people the ability to do their belts attached to the harness. Right now we're doing it incorrectly. We've attached it to the seat face. It would have helped, but it's not as safe as you can get. The other thing is that this floor pan is not a steel structure. You'll see a couple of these bars online that attach and do plates to the structure on the bottom, but it's a composite. The seat right now is attached into that, but the portion that is attached with the seat is the only portion that has a steel plate. There is an actual steel plate, and then it has its composite, and then it has its foam core, and then another layer of composite, and then you see this floor that you can see from underneath this carpet. This section right here has steel plate. The rest of the floor in the back does not have a steel plate. So you'll see a couple of these harness bars that will attach to a lower portion of the floor. If you take, you know, 20 G plus load that's going to happen when you're going 100 miles an hour and you run into something, all of these stresses are going to happen. And composite is very, very strong in certain directions, and then certain directions, like a poke through, it's not. This is not like a Kevlar. This is a glass composite structure. So it's just not the same integrity that you would if you had a steel floor, where it could bend and eventually would give way, but it would hold on throughout that bending process. A composite structure, once it starts to crack, it's lost almost all of its integrity, and it's just going to give way. And super brittle aluminums are the same. What they've done here is they've tied to both the floor and the wall at the same time, which is the strongest 90-degree joint. On the kick panel, they're attaching to the floor, and then they give you your riveting nuts, which are going to attach you to the wall, which gives you a 90-degree structure brace instead of a flat structure plane, where once the load hits that structure, it's going to shear. Exactly. So now we've taken, instead of, you know, potentially a hole like this where you poke through, you're going to have to take out a quarter of the car, and if that's the case, then nothing's going to save you at that point.
Chris is scared to start it. It's so loud. The roll cage is going to go through, so it'll be behind this seat, and it's going to go through this wall right here, which you can't really see. But on this side, you'll be able to see it's going to come through this wall right here. And it'll actually replace this. This will no longer be here. The shocks now for the roof will now attach to it. And then it's going to literally come back and attach to right here, which is the strut towers. So that's what those brackets were that we showed you that were CNC'd. And then same thing over there, it's gonna come through the wall, and it's gonna come back to this strut tower. And then in addition to that, we got what's called their X brace, which then is going to attach from here to up there, and then from there back down to this strut tower. So you'll literally have an X brace over the engine. Hopefully we never have to pull the top of that engine out. Regardless, it'll stiffen up the entire back, the entire car. It's gonna stiffen up because you're now gonna be braced from the bottom, which is behind the seats, the sides, coming through the back wall, going over the engine, and then X-brace over the engine. So it'll literally stiffen up the entire back half of the vehicle, which will give a better ride for racing, number one. And then number two, obviously, in a catastrophic accident, will just allow a lot more structure to prevent as much crushing and as much tearing apart.
We're gonna start a roll cage today. We've already started. Very first thing to do is pull that negative battery cable off before you touch anything on this car. We took out the hardtop, put it over there. We took out the 2 seats so far. Other than that, everything that's been pulled out of this car has been pulled out, just what we've already done from the racing. You'll notice up there, we got that, the corner trim piece. We also have a piece that comes across and down across the back window here. You know, that piece has been removed. We already had those just when we were doing all of this wiring for the stream device and the GoPros for power, and then also the radio system. So now we're just gonna start integrating ourselves into full roll cage installation. One of the things that they do note in the roll cage installation is that you're gonna need some sort of prop to go from here all the way up to there, just to hold this up, because you're going to lose your engine hood struts for the time being. They'll attach later onto the roll cage itself, these 2 side beams. In the interim, obviously, you're going to want to have that held up and somehow out of the way. So we'll make just a simple piece of wood that's going to go from here to here and hold that up for us with some blankets. Here's, as Jason has already pointed out, we're going to be cutting out here with their templates that you literally just put up there, and then you'll know exactly where to cut out at. That's where we cut with a 2-inch hole saw, and then, you know, every car is built just a tiny bit different, so there's enough leeway that you can make your modifications afterwards. Well, folks, we ran into our first issue. Putting in this plate, it's going to go behind the wiring harness. Your new wire path is here, comes out on top here. We're sitting on top, and because this roll cage is very, very accurate in size, that distance there is not allowing this to sit all the way back, and it's gonna make a difference on where the actual roll cage mounts. So we're gonna pull this, figure out how to modify this bolt. We've got a bit of a gap. We'll see if that gets picked up once we do the rivets. So to take this one off, same with the other one. So you just have 2 clips here and here. So you just have to shove this thing backwards this way. There it goes. You have 1 clip there, and then your last clip is the one that goes in from this piece. And per their instructions, you're going to be drilling through aluminum plate and composite. This plate is kind of hard, but you have to have enough pressure. High pressure, low speed, should drill through this no problem.
Okay, so now drilling with the 1/2 inch. All right, so the 2 bottom ones are done.
This 1/2 inch, it's milled so perfectly that this 1/2 inch will go in. Okay, so everything's been indexed. Now, what I've already done on this side, the 2 lower holes, I've already got those. Anytime we drill another 1/2 inch hole, it has to be done with the bolts in there, so that way it is referenced correctly. Each one is about a 1/4 inch instead of the normal 1/16 inch or 1/8 inch step. Looks like an 1/8 inch piece of metal, and then we've got some composite core, and then another 1/8 inch piece of metal in the back. That's a lot of thickness. No step bit is gonna be able to get in there and do an 11/16 hole all the way through without oversizing the front or undersizing the back. But that's actually a bigger step bit, not the biggest, but that's got 1/8 inch steps instead of 1/16 inch steps. So I've already done my 1/2 inch size. I'm just gonna make it bigger and bring it up to the 11/16 size. Okay, so we have our first hole. We are now in the process of our riveting. So when you get this, it's gonna have the 2 bolts on their tool, and then it's gonna have the washer on this side. So you're gonna spin your nut, put your rivet in. To do this with the ratcheting wrench method, the way that we're about to show you is the better way. This is the faster way, but has the tendency to be less accurate. So you're gonna remove your nut, you don't need it anymore. You're gonna put your rivet in, you're gonna screw your rivet down. Once you're here, just continue to screw your rivet, and what's gonna happen is this section with the threads is gonna pull, thereby squishing your compressible rivet portion up and pulling it in. We're gonna install this in here without being a fuddy-dud and having this still attached. This is a number 8 and the other one is a number 12. And then you would take your wrench, and as you tighten this section down onto the vehicle, you're going this way, you're compressing it because it doesn't have anywhere else to go. And pull this bolt back out this way, giving you the ability to compress this on the backside of the flange. And this outside one is just to hold it. This is most I can go. So now, it's a nice nut. This one is the one that's gonna go in the back because the entire cage plate goes right over the top of that one. Whereas these black ones are gonna go through the cage plate and they're gonna go in there. So just so you know where everything goes.
All right, so Chris just got done drilling those now with the 1/2 inch. So now it's the fun part of disassembling it again. How does this roll cage installation compare to the Mustang?
Well, I mean, so far so good, considering everything is being drilled. I wish they had included the 11/16 drill bit. The installer said 11/16 on a step bit or Christmas tree is how he verbiaged it, and then he specifically states, or you can get a full-size drill bit. I cannot understand how anybody has done this with a step bit. It's just too thick. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna oversize. Now your rivet doesn't have a set part for the flange to compress with.
And as you guys see, these rivets, there's not much lip to them that if you oversized front to get to the 11/16 on the back, it probably wouldn't work. The Mustang, the problem we actually had is they did include drill bits.
And yet they
but
did nothing about
the drill bits required very hard pressure and extreme speed.
And faster than even an impact would operate. And so we were just not hitting it fast enough. No installation should be like that. It should have been a specific bolt or a specific drill bit explained to you to do it a certain way. This manufacturer, when they explained, hey, you need to do one bolt, even though it's a pain in the butt, you gotta take it back out, you gotta secure, you gotta clean it up, put the threads in so that way you can secure that bolt before you drill more. The Mustang had a compound angle. It was both flexed upwards and it was flexed inwards, and it was not a flat on flat surface. But I was being asked to drill this way through a surface that looks like this. Well, first off, anybody that's ever drilled anything knows that if you try to drill something like this, it's gonna walk this way. So your drill bit's having a hard time staying straight. Without a drill press, you know, you keeping your body in the perfect angle, whereas this one has a lot of steps. But man, I was just telling Jason, I put in this first bolt up here into this rivet and it fit. It was hand tight, I was done. Even after we got the holes drilled, putting the bolt in was a whole nother story, so.
All right, so 2 of them are done on the driver's side. Chris is now finishing the 3rd one, which this one's kind of the harder one because it's at the bottom.
You're doing 6 of these. If you do it with a torque wrench and a dynamic load, you're gonna pull the grade 8 bolt that they give you, the threads right out. It's just not gonna work. Even though there's the option of doing it that way, I would do the 2 wrench method. I'm not quite sure what they use this for, but actually, it's actually for holding the ratcheting part of the wrench when you go to start the nut. There's not enough surface area for you to hold on to, and that nut's too free spinning. But once you get it started, this wrench holds itself, this wrench is worthless, and you just keep going until you feel it. And the last step is pulling this wrench out. Now this is all ready to be reassembled. We put our shallow bolts first. We do our big threads for the bottom, and then we have these black ones.
Okay, for the rear struts, we have to disconnect this wiring harness. So Chris is showing how to disconnect that.
Fingernail or flat blade or any type of screwdriver, pull that one tang back. You can press here, but because it's at an angle, it's hard to press. But as you press just on the back side of that red, you'll see the front side, there's a little tang that sticks up. So you can just simply.
The one bolt, which he'll talk about in a minute, that they gave for tightening the rivets actually stripped out. While he did that, went to the store to do that, I went ahead and installed the back here. Used their template, cut out these holes here, then put grommets in. We put the plates here that are underneath the red. So that goes right on top of the strut tower. These go into their bracket. Everything's loose right now. I only have one side of the X bracket connected, which is over there, because we need to get this whole assembly first connected to the inside roll cage. So everything, you'll kind of see it kind of jiggles. We're hoping that everything lines up pretty good once we're able to put the roll cage in, which will be in a few minutes, and then we'll go from there. Right here is where we were saying, see, these will actually attach to that once I lower the trunk. Chris, you want to explain a little bit, since the last few things we've done? The driver's side we fully finished. I think we did that on video. Passenger side started on, And the first of the 3 that Chris started on, he'll kind of explain here what happened.
This is the grade 8 bolt that they give you with their tool. While installing the rivet in this top corner, same drill bit used, everything was the same. Every time I go to loosen the nut, which should pull this bolt out, it would spin against the rivet and undo the rivet at the exact same rate. As I was trying to loosen and pull these apart, even though I was holding the bolt head, all it was doing was taking the rivet and unthreading it. Somehow, some way, the hole was slightly bigger than it was on the other side. On any of these other 3, I didn't have, it wouldn't bite. So all the rivet did was spin. So then I did it their other method, which is this direction. It ended up stripping through, and now I can't get it off. So now I had to do all of the rest of them with the impact. As per their instructions, the impact is hard to determine exactly where it's correct because you can't see. So either you're gonna rotate it a couple times, pull it off, and try to verify. But the problem is that the thickness of metal plates that are in here are different for each one. There should be a specific count of revolutions. We switched over to the big impact, but in doing that first one, it did press, but unfortunately I had the wrong size washer on the back side of this. I had this grade 8 one that I picked up, and you can see it was for a larger grade 8 bolt, but it was slightly bigger than the rivet. And what happened was the rivet tried to press through here. So the material that's on the backside started to come out. We were able to press it all back in, but now it's interfering a little bit with the thread, so I can tighten it up with a socket with no problem. So as per the instructions, what we're doing right now is I'm just dry fitting all of these bolts, make sure that they can all be driven in. Now we can put it in for the final assembly. Per their instructions, we're just gonna do this back one with the shallow shoulder. Now we need to put the rest of the interior back together. More or less the first time fitment, and this one is just that far off. That's crazy, and like I said, that moves as soon as I put my hand on it.
So Chris is here doing arts and crafts.
If you cut it 17 times, you'll turn it into a snowflake, I'm telling you.
Chris has all the wiring messed up again. He loves ripping wires out. No, now stuff will go in its permanent place. So we kind of were rough laying out where all the modules are gonna go, like the intercom, the radio, the cameras, and then now doing the cutouts, because all that needs to be done before we put the trim in. We gotta cut holes in a couple of the pieces of trim.
So I've got one DC plug for the battery that runs the VHF. I've got another DC plug that runs this guy here, which is going to be the 360 camera that sits up at the top there, GoPro in the corner. Those both run off of this guy. We're gonna run a DC jack extender only because it already has a module that can convert over to the USB-C, so that's easier than running 2 long USB-Cs all the way down and back up. This module here will get attached to the back of the roll bar. So then I've got a Type-C that's going, everything's Type-C, but this Type-C will run the Wi-Fi streamer, and then this Type-A, which converts over to a Type-C, will run the GoPro medium in the media mod that's gonna be sitting on the cage up here, and that's all of it. What's new, hopefully we'll get some better sound. Rugged Radio sent us this, it's called the Audio Isolate. Really what it's supposed to do is the GoPros make a lot of noise because they have constant power in, and unfortunately it's the same power line that everything else is using, and this is a direct to battery line, and so hopefully that'll get rid of all the noise. So now we're on to quarter panel cutting. This is the panel, and then we just gotta cut a hole there.
Don't mess up. Chris doesn't like it when I rag him when he's doing something.
It just makes me concentrate more.
Usually the stuff Chris does, we have to do 3 or 4 different times.
Not true.
I don't suggest it on cutting stuff. What is it? Measure once, cut 3 times?
As long as you undercut. This is gonna be fun. 1 3/4. Don't try this at home. Okay, good start.
No more yellow seatbelts. Yay! It's coming along. We've actually come a long ways. We haven't documented necessarily 100% of everything, but for the most part, we've documented the major components so far of what we've done. So we'll kind of step you guys through what we have not shown yet. For the most part right now, the entire roll cage is installed. We did not really actually have too much trouble lining everything up. This tool was amazing. Came from Home Depot. You definitely should have something like this. It just really helps because obviously you're trying to line up multiple pieces of metal in multiple areas. So you can stick it through one of the bolt holes and then really manipulate the metal, prying on it without messing anything up, and then get, you know, bolts in, and then move on to the next. So it's been a couple days, but not necessarily because we've been working on it nonstop, but we had to wait for a couple wires we had to order because as part of this, we did more than just the install of the roll cage. Our goal was when we were finished with this, we actually were putting all the trim back together. So now you'll actually see all the trims back in, all the tops back in, and behind all of this, Chris has done an awesome job running wires for everything. So coming from the battery specific for the radio.
What we had originally was DC jack splitter that was sitting inside the glove box. We also had intercom box along with all the doodads and dillywops. The reason why is because the battery from Rugged Radios, it had a 12 volt DC jack. We had so many cameras. These ran off of another box that was another DC jack. And then of course this one has 4. Then I had power to the intercom, which was a direct power straight from the battery. So I had the GoPro in the back had one of these. Live streaming had another power supply.
But then we also ran power for LED lights for the front, LED lights for the back, which will light up the engine compartment, which we haven't installed the lights all yet, but we did all the wiring. These are just coming out right next to the center console, but they will come in here. And then Chris is gonna install some toggle switches in here. But for the most part, we're trying to keep the car as factory-ish as possible. Obviously the roll cage is not showing that, but that was more important for life-saving rather than keeping OEM.
This is still fully removable, and the biggest thing you'd have to buy is this and this on both sides.
So Chris ran all that wiring, ran it through. So a lot of this stuff obviously you just see dangling right now. This will all be mounted. One thing I will say that we are very happy with, again with this roll cage, and obviously we're not affiliated with them in any way, but it's a very tight fit. The Mustang roll cage, it had like almost 1.5 inches to 2 inches between the roll cage and the roof and the actual ceiling of the car. If you notice this one, in most areas it's 1/8 of an inch, some areas maybe 1/4, I wouldn't even really call it. So it's a very tight fit. So what does that mean? Obviously if you get in a rollover, that's the point of where that roll cage is going to take effect to help save you. That I think is very important. Surprisingly, for me, is everything lines up. And that was a big thing because we got multiple points of contact. This roll cage, once it's all attached to each other, it all connects. But it's connected in 6 points. It's connected obviously, and each point has multiple points that it's connected with multiple screws. Granted, they did give us templates, but even with the templates, I would have thought personally that it wouldn't have lined up as perfect as it did. Coming all the way through the firewall, they give us these grommets here, comes through the other side, and then comes back to the strut towers here. So, and they're connected here, and then obviously the X. So you notice, I mean, everything connects. We didn't need any heavy lifting, any hammering, no mallets. We didn't need anything to get everything to line up. Yes, we had to push and pull a little bit, pry a little bit with that bar I mentioned earlier, but it was nothing more than I would have thought it would have been. I think we're really happy with that. For the most part, it was good. Yes, there was a couple things I think they could have done better, but we actually talked to them today, and that is in no way a diss. It's an amazing product. We have no issue with it. It's just stuff, obviously they're learning too, right? This is custom. This is custom made for this car.
I hate to say it this way, but there's no other option for this car. If you go down the other path where you're not tying into these points like we do, you're not tying into the back strut tower, you're not safe and you're not rigid. You get into a rollover and you're gonna just rely on everything the car's got.
For this car specifically, this is the best option other than going to a full cabin roll cage where you're full, you know, obviously like NASCAR, right? Where you got the bars going across the doors here, you're having to climb in but then you're talking about ripping out the entire interior. You have no interior and it's all full custom. Chris was able to get wiring out through where their OEM wiring comes in to the back trunk lid for the defrost. Obviously right now it's not in wire loom. This will all be professionally in wire loom. Right now we just wanted to get the wires. And then the goal is to do some LED nice stripping in this lid so that way when obviously the lid is closed, we'll be able to pretty much glow the engine, which would be kind of cool. Chris loves lights. I mean, I like lights too, but Chris is extreme. Didn't you do a several $1,000 order on Alibaba, which if anyone knows what that is, several $1,000s in LED lights is a lot of LED lights.
Yeah, I probably have a couple thousand.
So pretty excited about that. We also ran wiring. This goes to that center console, comes up to the front of the car. This is a positive, which will be switched. It is already fused, which is gonna go to the lights that are in the grille. So the whole front will glow also. So she'll look kind of mean. We will test that out on the road. We can't really get a definitive answer on whether it's legal or not. We know blues aren't. So I may be having to pay a ticket at some point for red. It will be probably worth it as long as they don't haul me away.
Yeah, the big thing is just the cleanup of the electrical. That's what took probably a full day and a half extra.
And it wasn't just moving it all or doing it, it was actually thinking about it. Anything we put behind the driver's seat, for the most part, you can't get to it. The driver's seat is very hard to get in and out of. It's hard to take it in and out of the vehicle. It's only 4 bolts, but they're hard to get to, the ones in the back, and it's a very tight fit. The passenger side, luckily, we do still have the OEM seat, which is electronic, obviously, and we can move it forward and backwards. So that gives us a lot of capability there to be able to do stuff. So laying out where we wanted to put everything and then running the wires that are proper to everything and doing all of that. All right, so every bolt now in the entire cage is completely tight. We did follow their directions. After this was all hooked up, we loosened the strut bolts and lifted the vehicle and then retightened them, kind of lined everything up. We now have, if you see these shocks for the lid, coming down now is actually connected to those versus before it was those little strut towers. All right, so Chris could talk a little bit about what he's got going on in here. He's gone gangbuster.
So we moved the RRP 5100 from the glove box. It'll be something where the passenger's sitting here, so I can either reach across or I can set all these. We understand the system well enough that I can set it up at the very beginning and then hopefully we never have to touch it again. This is our center channel GoPro. This is the one with the media mod, so this is going to be connected to the live stream device. We do have headphone jack, and then it goes up into the auxiliary output of the RRP 5100. We don't want anything on the glass because that stuff just tends to fall off when it gets super hot or super cold, and then we're constantly readjusting. So we wanted everything attached to the roll cage. Everything else has been tucked away. The only other thing here, we've got the radio side of things is going to be ran straight from the battery. So there's a dedicated circuit that runs up to a relay that's powered by an ACC, but that ACC circuit runs through our switch. So even if we forget the switch, if the ACC shuts off, I'm shutting off the power to the rugged radio and intercom, so we're not running it dead. That's a dedicated straight to the battery power going through that one relay. Everything else is powered by ACC, so I have this power block and then I've got 3 DC jacks that I can put anything I want into the back. So I've got another switch that's gonna turn on the GoPro and everything else. The same power that powers the relay for the radio is the same power that will feed into this block, giving the GoPro, the DJI, another GoPro up on the dash, and then the 360 camera. Problem is the GoPro overheats. I can't find something that doesn't overheat within 30 minutes. What we did find out, if you remove the battery, then you don't have the charge circuit constantly going, and charging is inefficient, thereby it creates a lot of heat. I don't think that I was in 4K yet.
And the last time we put the GoPro for the back facing camera, which is a really cool view, attached to the license plate inside of their waterproof case, which is amazing. Here's the problem. I'm gonna show you guys and then you tell me what you think. License plate, you ready? Look what's right below it. Literally, it was melting. It was melting the mount. And the good thing is the GoPros shoot great quality. Anyway, we're very happy with the cage. I think for most DIYers, you're gonna be able to do it. We didn't really have any special tools. We had to buy a drill bit, so you may be able to get it or order it if you are gonna get this cage. But other than that, passenger seat's gonna be a piece of cake to mount. That one really is easy. Driver's side, which obviously is the race seat, it is a bitch to install.
Originally, we had all this extra headspace to tuck the seat in and up in the back and then set it down. Now that the roll bar is there, we don't have that headspace, so we're having a harder time getting enough clearance to get these back studs.
We think with some force, we can get it in, but we said, let's not try our luck and do force to test fit it, because if we force and get it in, we might not be able to do it again without breaking shit. So it's very tight to get it in. It was tight even before the roll cage. So again, roll cage, this is all new. All the red's new. It attaches on the side of the vehicle, which these are all tapped in. And this goes through the bottom floorboard all the way through. And then this is for our seat belt. So this is for our lap belt. So this is the back, this goes all the way through. On this side, we have some stuff we gotta kind of work around. There's obviously one of the main wiring harnesses here. And then just like this one, the seatbelt's actually attached to it like that. So we've got to leave a little space, see how they attach, because obviously that adapter is going to have to go here. So we feel pretty confident in getting it all to work and fit. We did test fit these. We don't know if these are the right length. Again, the seat is very hard to put in there. The amazing thing is we did get these wonderful, beautiful red seatbelts. If you watched the channel for a while, we had yellow is what they came with. which are really ugly. Sorry if you like yellow, but I don't have a problem against yellow, just not for seatbelts. For this side, we're not even gonna use it. And we really don't need it. I mean, with a tub seat, it's hard to use it. For the passenger seat, we still have OEM seat in there. So if we use the vehicle, obviously not on a track, without wearing a helmet, you really don't want to wear a harness. Wearing a harness without a helmet on and like a Hans device, you know, you're not giving the ability for the seatbelt to be able to give, and that's how you could break your neck if you're in a catastrophic accident. So we've driven it a little bit with the harness because we didn't have seatbelts, but what we did is it pretty much made a 3-point seatbelt with it. Lap belt and then just one of the harnesses across. Is it great? Probably not, but we don't drive it a lot. I think still we only have like 3,000 miles, and I bought it with 2,000.
Most of the mileage is still racetrack.
We're still on the original set of tires, but second set of brakes. For front pads is about $800 delivered, just pads, just fronts. The rear's like $700 delivered, again, just rears. I think it's like close to 20 grand if you're doing everything at once. It's stupid money. So carbon ceramic brakes, awesome, not awesome to replace. Traditional vehicles, when you slam on the brakes, which you're doing when you're racing. When you're racing, you're slamming on the brakes. Not the whole time, but when you're coming in at 150 miles an hour and you got a turn that you can only make at 70, your goal is to go as fast around the track as possible. So if you start braking way before, you're not gonna hit your max speed. You're gonna be coming into the turn slower, you're gonna be behind. So you end up coming into a turn very fast. You're then braking, not last minute, but kind of last minute. And with a regular vehicle, any other vehicle I've ever driven, race car or not, you 100% feel the pulsating of the anti-lock brakes, which is good. You wanna feel that, and I'm totally okay feeling that because it lets you know where your boundary's at. It's telling you, I don't have enough traction, I can't brake. Then on your next lap, you accommodate for that, and that's how you kind of build up. In this car, you don't feel shit. And I'm wearing racing shoes, which racing shoes are very thin on the bottom, so it gives you a lot of feel. You're supposed to be able to feel a lot of, with the fuel pedal, I feel a lot. With the braking, you don't. But now we know that. Last time we didn't know that. And so Chris was with me, we came into a turn, we can probably show that right now. We came into turn 10. I was doing, my top speed before that was like 135 or 138 or something. So I was coming in 15 miles an hour hotter, faster, which is not a problem. The problem is I didn't brake soon enough. And I didn't brake soon enough because it's my fault, 100% my fault, but I wasn't feeling that we were losing traction. When you're doing that, you're not hearing your wheels skid, you're not hearing that. And in a traditional car, you'd feel the pulsating. So I'd know, hey, I'm slipping. I need to slow it down on my next round. And so we had ramped up and we were pushing it. We were going for times, and we hit the turn too hot. And so I was able to start the turn because there was a wall on the left-hand side. I did start our turn. And as soon as I started, I knew we were gonna go in the grass. Luckily there's grass, it was no problem. We literally went into it. I think when we exited the tarmac, the asphalt, I think we left it like 40 or 50. So we had already slowed quite a bit down by the time we left, but we lost complete traction, hit the grass, recovered, and then had to watch because obviously there's other people on the track coming around 100 miles an hour. So what are we doing, Chris?
We're just taking everything apart. Jason screwed it up again.
No, we're putting it back together finally. This is day 873. No, not really, but it's like day 4 or 5. All the electrical is done. So we got nice switches there. There's 3.
Radio and GoPro control. And then this will be rear LED lights.
So that's done. Obviously none of the LEDs are done yet. Chris did the wiring for that. So the switches are fully wired and in, and they look really nice. Driver's seat is in. And the funny thing is, I wish we would have caught it, but actually we thought we had to put the back in first and then do the front.
So then we ended up going back, and the back was hitting up here and causing a bunch of headache and hitting against the rail. So it became a thing where we had pry bars out. Jason was over here doing it. I was down there. We finally got it in, and we were very concerned that it might pop out. And then next thing you know, Jason hits it or pulls it, it comes right out, and he's like, wait, if it came out that easy, it should have gone in that easy. And what it turns out is we just needed to
put the front end first, and then it literally just
put the front end farther in.
Wish we could have caught it. I guess you guys will never know. We looked like idiots for a few minutes. That wiring harness right there is an OEM wiring harness for this car. It's one we ordered. because obviously this seat does not have an airbag. I ordered I guess it's what, an airbag simulator sensor. Unfortunately, I think my wife threw it away. It was in an envelope and it's missing. Anyways, I get to order another one. I think they're only like 50 bucks or 30 bucks or something, but we won't have it this time. So we just found that out. We'll kind of go around to the other side here, see what Chris is messing with. He's always laying down on the job. It's actually very annoying. It's a good thing we don't get paid hourly here because there'd be
hell to pay.
So this one works essentially as OEM. The airbag will work, that's in it. The regular seatbelt will still work, but then obviously when we're on the track, we have a 6-point harness. So everything's done. The seat's literally ready to go in on this side. This is what it looks like. We've cleaned it up. That carpet right there will actually get folded in when the new seat goes in. We are doing a brake flush. Car's up, wheels are off, and we go to the track today. We couldn't find the brake fluid that we had bought, and so we were looking and looking, and we went to the trailer, it wasn't there, and it ended up being in the garage up on a shelf. So last minute we're doing it. Wonderful brake fluid. Right now we're filling the reservoir full, and we pressurize it with this brake bleeder pressure system.
We actually bought some dye and we dyed the fluid so that we could see exactly how much it takes, and it's absolutely minimal. This is made for oils, fuels, whatever you want to put it in. I ended up putting in about a drop, maybe a drop and a half, and now it's even too much. We spent a lot of time having to mix up the bowl. That's what we've got the vibrator for. It comes out blue, and that tells you exactly if you've gotten all the old fluid out. Now this is the fluid that the car came with to us, and it was a used car. We didn't know any of this. So the big thing was just switching to this, what is it, RBF 600?
So this little doohickey hooks to where the lid would go, obviously, for the brake reservoir. It's got an air pressure fitting. Comes up to this beautiful power bleeder. Has a gauge on it. We're supposed to get it up to 20 PSI. So this just obviously is pushing down on the fluid, so that way you're getting pressure without having to go into the vehicle and pump brakes and stuff like that. So you didn't know today was arm day, did you? So you see how dark that currently is blue, because that's what we had bled through there. Once that comes through, we'll actually start seeing clear fluid, and then we'll know that all the old is out.
So we did this line, there is one on the back. We only did one side, but we did this line, then we did the other line with the dye in it. So that way, once we got the blue coming through, we knew that all the old stuff that was in the line and in the caliper was all out.
You can see it's starting to already get clear. It's not as midnight blue now, it's more of a light blue, and actually now we're starting to get clears coming through.
All of this blue is pure good fluid. We just wanted to make sure that we got all that blue dye out of there. So that line's good. When you're bleeding the lines, you don't have to do both. You're gonna do both after you fill the reservoir. Just a little tab, because all you're bleeding out here is the amount that's in the reservoir in the back. Not in the reservoir, in the caliper.
There's a couple chunks in there, which is interesting because we didn't have any chunks, I don't think, on the front, right? It was just the rears. Obviously, we weren't able to like touch them, feel them, but they look like they're like crystallized chunks or something. But it's probably a little slimy, I don't know.